Can I have a motion to go back to open session?
We did that already. We already did
Oh. Sorry. I called to order the Oswego Community Union School District Board of Education meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cerrone,
Here.
Dr. Martin,
Here.
Dr. Murillo,
Here.
Dr. Polak,
Here.
Miss Robinson, Miss C,
Here.
Miss Wenma.
Present.
All right. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We're item 4.1 is
Yeah, John's, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
all right. Yeah.
You guys can come on out to the front. though,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education, and everybody listening and watching online. This evening, we would like to take a moment to recognize two remarkable students whose quick thinking and compassion made a difference: Mason Trazer and Alex Tran. Recently, during a time of need, these two students acted without hesitation to help and support their peer. Their actions showed tremendous courage, kindness, and empathy, qualities that reflect the very best of our school community. On behalf of the Board of Education and the entire district, we want to commend them for their bravery and for demonstrating how we can all look out for one another. Their example reminds us that leadership and heroism are not defined by age, but by our willingness to act when someone needs us. To these students, we say thank you. You have made us all proud, and we are honored to celebrate you tonight. With us tonight, we do have Mason Trazer. Come on up, please.
Family, come on up. Come on. Love to have you join us. What you guys think?
No hiding.
All right. Wasn't just right. My hair was out of the way.
I was gonna say you gotta find the exact. Good. It wasn't for you, it was on camera.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right. Moving on to item 5.1. the fiscal year 26 budget presentation.
Good evening, board. This evening, I've invited Mr. Obafemi and Amanda Sitar, who are going to present on this coming budget presentation, this year's budget. I want to thank you both on the outset for your leadership and the countless hours, and I also of working with the community and with staff to really prepare this budget presentation in really unprecedented times in terms of budget season, I would say. I also want to thank our staff, principals, district level administrators for their support in the coordination of this. This is really a representation of countless hours of attention to how we think about our financing and ensuring that every dollar is going to our most important resource, which are our students and our schools. And so I just want to thank you on the outset. And with that, I'll turn it to Mr. Obafemi.
Thank you, Dr. Kogani. I want to start out by saying we appreciate the trust and the responsibility that the board, as well as the community, is placed in us when it comes to managing hard-earned taxpayers' money in the district. So what we've done everything we can to develop and create a budget that we thought is representative of the vision and the mission of the board and what the community deserves as far as spending plan is concerned. And with that being said, I'm going to have the Director of Finance, Ms. Sita, to start out the presentation.
Thank you very much. Do you have the clicker? Okay.
This is my third time.
On the side.
I hope you guys have questions.
We're having technical difficulties with our batteries here. So, oh, there we go. Thank you.
Now you just can-
There we go. Okay. A budget is a moral document which reflects the district's values, goals, and objectives. It complies with all applicable laws and regulations. It provides spending authority and essential financial information as required by the state, local, and federal agencies. SD308 has 5 strategic priorities. Priority 1 is future ready. Priority 2 is systems of support. Priority 3 is academics. 4 is wellness, and 5 is systems management. Finance and the budget fall into priority 5. We want to increase fiscal responsibility, transparency, and engagement, implement a zero-based budget, and focus on shared accountability. A zero-based budget is essentially spending for only things that we need. We start at 0 and build the budget based on need. In order to promote transparency and trust, we held budget community workshops at different locations and times to try to accommodate as many people and schedules as possible. Here is our budget timeline. Phase 1 is the initial planning stage. Phase 2 are first drafts of the budgets where we collect materials and needs from budget managers for zero-based budgeting. Phase 3 is the phase we are in now, where we present the tentative budget and hold workshops. And Phase 4 is the adoption with public hearing. We are all here for the same purpose, student success. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Obafemi to talk about the numbers.
Thank you. So I always say when I talk to folks in the community that we're in the people's business. We educate kids, and in order for us to do that, we hire a significant number of educators in the classroom, coaches, as well as support staff who actually provide support to the kids. And so we currently have approximately 2,300 staff members, FTE, and which is a decrease of 1.5 from fiscal year 25. So of that amount, clearly 95+% of the staff members that we have in the district directly support students. I'm talking about our teachers, our teacher assistant, our building administrator, our bus drivers, our building secretaries. They actually work very closely with the student. So at the end of the day, it's important that I think our community knows that 95% of the expenditure that we have that goes to salary directly touches student. And just 1.79% is dedicated to administrative salary in the district office, which is actually lower than what the average in the state of Illinois is and surrounding area. The typical percentages for administrative salary as a component of the salary budget runs between 4 and 5%. So I mentioned earlier,
That is, you're basically saying directors and.
so we're
superintendent.
talking about the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the directors, the assistant directors, the folks who lead the district centrally are the ones I'm talking about.
Just want to clarify.
Yes, thank you. So of the 95% of employees that I mentioned earlier who directly support students, of those folks, we're talking about building administrative teacher, teacher assistant, bus drivers, bus monitor, office staff, folks who serve our students food in the cafeteria, our custodians who clean our building, the maintenance folks who keep our buildings running, as well as our librarians. Those are the core people that actually consume 95% of the cost of running our schools. And then the other 4.7%, I just wanted to give an example of those who are not directly located in school, but they support our students in the background, if you will. They serve as the back office of the enterprise in the district. We're talking about the HR specialists, the folks who actually go out and do recruitment for the district. Without them, it will be just a little harder for us to be able to find teachers and other personnel who support our kids. The bookkeeper, when we receive money from the state or from the federal government, or even from taxpayers, the bookkeeper book that in our books. Then accounts payable, this is the individual who actually pays our bills for the things that we buy as a district, like any other business. Benefit coordinator, this is the person who actually goes out and shop for benefit for our staff member. We're talking about healthcare, dental, retirement planning, supplementary retirement planning, payroll specialists. These are the folks who actually pay our staff twice a month. Purchasing agent, the folks who actually go out and negotiate the best pricing for the things that we acquire that makes it possible to educate our kids. I'm talking about textbooks and instructional supply, even cleaning supplies that our custodian personnel use to keep our building clean. And then another example I wanted to share is the claims analyst. Those are the folks who actually go out and file claims, federal government claim, state claim, and other neighborhood school district that actually send their kids for us to educate, and we have to bill them to pay for the services that are received from us. So wanted to give a picture of what changes between what was budgeted in fiscal year 25 FTE to what is in the current year 26 FTE budget. As you see there, we have an increase of 18.06. And what I would like to point out is the majority of this increase is actually tied to two key programs. Special education, which we know when it comes to special education, if a student has got an IEP, we have no option but to provide them with the services that they require. So we've hired additional staff because of the increase in population of our special needs students. The other class of students that we provide additional support for in this budget are the English learner. We have an increase in growth in our students who come to us who are equipped with a different language, and we need to work with them to help them master English so they can perform at their best. And then the staffing changes that are not related to licensed folks. We're talking about administrator. There was an increase of 9 school administrators. And those administrators are actually related to special education too, because in order for us to make sure that we're efficient in how we provide special education support, we hire some APs who will help us with planning special education, And if we do this well on the front end, it will save us money on the back end as far as avoiding due process and claim brought by parents because they did not receive the service that they were entitled to. And so if you look at every other class of employees, we actually reduce staffing. This is an attempt based on the directive that we've been given by this board to try to be efficient with how we deploy resources, especially when it comes to personnel who do not directly touch our classrooms. So we're going to go over the numbers the budget estimates for this fiscal year. So what I think is important to note is that the total amount of the budget in fiscal year 26 is 316.6. And that consists of the 278.5 million in operational budgets. That's the budget that we use for day-to-day. We talk about salaries for our staff member, the benefits that they receive, supplies that we buy for them, the consulting services that we have, such as the services provided by Airmac, the company that feeds our kids, utilities that we pay for, gasoline, water that we pay for. Those things are actually paid out of the operating budget. Then if you add the 1.27 in facility repairs to that, and then 36.9 million is the cost of debt service. These are bonds that were issued that we actually have to pay for out of property taxes, bond and interest. If you add that up, that's how you get the 316.6 million in total budget expenditure. So we wanted to show the highlights of what revenues look like. The majority of the funds that we use to operate the district comes from property taxes that our residents pay to us. And we are very grateful. You all make it possible for us to operate a first-class, world-class school district. Without you, we would not be able to do what we do for our kids. And that particular sets of revenue is projected to go up by $5 million or 4% in fiscal year 26. CPPRT, what that is the corporate property replacement tax. These are taxes that municipality actually charge businesses that operate in their unit. And that amount actually is expected to go down by close to 50%. And that's driven in part that right after the pandemic, there was a pent-up demand in business transactions, and we saw an increase in the amount of taxes that were levied against businesses because of increase in revenue right after the pandemic. But we know we're back in the regular business cycle now. So the last 3 years of increase, this year, that is actually gone down, which is what accounts for the decrease of $1.6 million in corporate property replacement tax. And EBF is the second largest source of revenue. If you remember earlier, I said property tax makes up the largest. The second largest is the state funding. And what that stands for is evidence-based funding. And that amount actually, even though it's going up by 1.4, it's actually a decrease from what we've gotten the last couple of years. I'll give you an example as an illustration. In fiscal year 25, which is the prior fiscal year, we received an increase of $7.7 million compared to what we received in 2024. So in planning the budget, when we're doing projections, before we found out what the actual amount was, we assume conservatively, we thought that we will receive $4.4 million more than what we did last year, which was still lower than the 7.7 that we received in 25 compared to 24. As it came in, we actually only received 1.4. It's a significant decrease in what we're expecting from the state. And the reason that was given by the state is the fact that there had been an increase in property value in the community, what is referred to as local wealth. Even though the value of homes in the community have increased, that doesn't have any direct impact to the amount of money that we can get in property tax. The amount of money that the district receives in property tax is limited by CPI, which for this fiscal year, that CPI is 2.9. We will not get any more money than that. So we didn't think it made sense for us to see a decrease to what we had estimated, but that's where we are for fiscal year 26. Other state funding are projected to increase by 1.5 million, which comes out to 14.43. Those are the reimbursement for regular transportation, special ed transportation, early childhood funding, and other funding from the state that we refer to our mandated categorical fund. And then the last source of funding that we want to highlight is federal funding. As it stands right now, we are looking at a decrease of $600,000 compared to what we received last year. But that's still in flux. There's a possibility we may get more than that. But as it stands right now, that is what we're looking at for fiscal year 26.
Mr. Obafemi, can I ask
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
few questions?
Please do.
For the federal funding part, what is the reason behind the decrease in that funding?
So it was really a decision made by the current administration. The core of those allocations is made up of IDA, which is special ed funding that we get from the federal government that flows through the state. And that money actually goes to supplement the money that we spend for special education. Mind you, I mentioned earlier, that is a population that is growing. And when it comes to special education, a school district such as us, we have no flexibility. When we get students who need special education services, we provide them, and they tend to be expensive. The other component of that, title funds, Title I, which is geared towards low-income students, Title II, which is teacher training, Title III, which is bilingual, which I mentioned earlier, that's another population that is growing, but instead of seeing an increase in the allocation, what we've seen is a decrease. So there's been a decrease in Title I, Title II, and all the other titles essentially from what we received last year.
So that's a federal decision, federal.
Yes, that was made
administration.
by the current federal administration.
And then CPPRT, the other way to increase it, I'm just checking my understanding, the other way to increase that would be for businesses to do more business
Yes.
or to add additional businesses in the community that would do business. Or correct my understanding.
Right. So, except when this tax was put into place back in 1978, it was benchmark.
Okay.
In order to be able to convince all the municipalities to come together and allow the Illinois Department of Revenue to be the collector of these taxes, it was benchmarked to that period. So there were communities that the industry that were there back then are no longer there, right?
Okay.
But it was still being used as the benchmark.
Okay.
So if we see overall increase in business transaction, business growth, we will all benefit from it
Okay.
as a
Are
state.
commercial properties,
Yes.
residential?
Any business
Any business.
that, any business like limited partnerships, LLCs, corporations that are located here in Illinois, does business here in Illinois, they pay taxes. And those taxes are distributed based on the benchmark that was set in 1978 to municipalities that received those funds back before the new Illinois Constitution.
Thank you.
So we wanted to show a comparison between budgeted fiscal year 25 to what we are proposing for 26. And as you see, property taxes, local revenue, I should say, the largest component of which is property taxes. The other revenue includes food that we sell to our kids from Aramac, fees that we charge our students, athletic fees, and rental that when we rent our facilities out to third-party companies, they pay for those spaces. That's what made up the local revenue. And we anticipate that will go up by 6.54. State revenue overall, which is a combination of EBF, evidence-based funding, and mandated categorical fund, is projected to go up by 2.59. And then federal revenue, as I mentioned earlier, is projected to go down by 6.58. And then the total revenue, a combination of local, state, federal, is estimated to go up by 4.35. So I mentioned earlier before that the most reliable source of revenue that we have as a district is local revenue, which the biggest component of that is property taxes. So state revenue makes up 43%, and the federal government revenue makes up a paltry 3.1%. And so again, we just wanted to show this with a picture, what we are looking at. And it's essentially a pictorial view of the table that was presented in the last chart. The flip side of that is revenue, which is how much we spend. And as I always say, we have less control about revenue than we do about expenditure because we rely on other people to provide us revenue, but we are totally responsible for how much we can spend. So what we try to do, we try to be very prudent and very, very calculating with how we deploy the revenue that we get, the limited revenue that we get. And I'll say, before I start on this was actually a very collaborative effort. Everyone in the district worked very hard together to make sure that we're efficient, we're thoughtful with the budget that we're presenting today, to look at different ways that we can reduce expenditures without negatively impact instruction in the classroom. And this is what we came up with. As I mentioned earlier, we're in the people's business. It's no surprise that the vast majority of the expenditure is tied into people, salary, and benefits. And that makes up the majority of the growth too, for the most part. And then purchase services, we actually were able to reduce, by being efficient, our purchase services by over 20%. And I believe that's a testament to the hard work of the folks in the district and the realization that we need to do more with the resources that we've been given.
So,
yes, sir.
sorry, so this is budget to budget. When, just for the rest of the board, when will we get the audited statements for?
So the audited statement should be available by late October, and it'll be presented to the board in November, like we did last year.
Because this is, some of this is a process that we have to go through.
Yes,
So
yes,
we,
it is.
we have to go through this before we get those audited
Yes,
financial
it is.
statements.
And it's because of the accounting system that we use in the district. So we budget based on cash basis. So for the budget reason, when we get the revenue, we book it when we get it for budget. And expenditures, when we spend the money, we book it. Now, for accounting purpose, we have what is called accrual basis. So there's a difference between how we budget and how we do accounting. So at the end of the year, we do an audit, and the adjustments made between cash in budget and actually the accrual and accounting, which is why we have to wait for the audit to be finished for us to know what the final numbers will be. So the other thing I would like to point out is a decrease in capital outlay, and that's really driven by the available resource. As much as we would like to invest more in capital outlay, we have to kind of limit what we could spend to what we have. And that's what we're looking at. Other objects, an increase of 20.53, and that's driven by a number of things. Key part of that, though, I want to point out, goes back to special education too, because we have some out-of-district expenses, students that we place out of district and that we pay their tuition. They're residents here, and the level of services that they need in the district, we're not able to provide those services to them. So we send them to what we call a therapeutic special schools, where they get the resources that they need, but we still have to pay for the cost of providing that. In non-capital equipment, a decrease of close to 50%. So at the end of it, the increase between budget to budget, 25 to 26, is an increase of 8.96. So this is essentially what I just spoke to, but we just thought it would be helpful to have a pie chart because we know we all learn differently. Some like table, some like pictures. But what I think the big takeaway from here is what I've said repeatedly. The majority of our resources is geared towards people. We need teachers. We need educators. We need principals. We need folks to support our kids in order for them to get an education. So the majority of our resource is people. We are in the people business. I can't say it enough. So the rest of it is 16.3. And this is how we spend the rest of it. I mentioned earlier, food service, our contract with Aramac is a big chunk of it. Utilities, light, gas, water, that's another big part of it. like any other business, we have attorneys that we engage to work with us. We have audit firm, they conduct independent audit. We're not allowed to conduct our own audit. It has to be done by arm's length. It has to be done by third-party accounting firm. We have to pay for that out of purchase services. Software that we use software for doing assessment. We use software for our computer system. So we use software for all types of things. That's paid out of purchase services too. And we also have third-party consulting services for transportation, special ed. For the most part, they transfer their kids from home to school and back home. And then like any other business, we spend money on property and casualty insurance in order to protect the interest of the district against losses. And by law, we have to our workers' comp. When our employees get hurt on the job, that's how we pay for the cost of their losses. And then essentially, we pay for facility maintenance and repairs out of the 16.3%. So there's not as much flexibility as most people would think when it comes to a school district budget. It's strictly, mostly people. Now, this is, I believe, a significant information that I think we need to share with our community. The district has a significant debt load. And if you look at your tax bill, you will see that there's a section of your tax bill that talks about bond and interest. And this came about really back in the early 2000s when Kendall County was the fastest growing county in the country, not just in the state of Illinois, in the country. At that time, there was a need to build 12 schools all at the same time. In Illinois, when a school district needs to build a school, the only way that a school district can pay for it is to issue bonds, which is a form of debt that are then sold to bondholders, investors, who expect to get paid. Most people believe wrongly that the state helps a school district build school. The state of Illinois doesn't do that. The local district has to go out and issue bonds. So in order for the bonds to be issued, a referendum has to be conducted. So a referendum was conducted in 2006, and the community that had been educated here voted to actually have the bonds issued. And in addition to that, we needed legislation from the state to allow us to be able to issue the huge amount of debt that we needed, because it was huge. To build 12 schools all in a short period of time cost a lot of money. So we issued debt of $250 million. Of that amount, back in 2006, that we used to build these 12 schools, we now owe an amount of $185.5 million in principal balance. Now, the interest on that $250 million that is still owed is $88.9 million. So for a total outstanding debt of $274.5. I want folks to think about when you take out a mortgage, the first few years when you pay your mortgage, if you look at the amortization table for your mortgage, this is no different than the first 10, 12 years when you pay for your mortgage, you're paying just principal. Then the longer that you've been paying, then you start hitting you pay the interest.
Yeah.
Then the next 13 years, you pay the interest the first 12 years. Then you start paying the principal when you go beyond that. That's no different from bonds. But I will say we've made a significant progress though. We started out at $250 million. We're now looking at a principal of $185 million. So, and as I mentioned earlier, this debt was taken out primarily to build those 12 schools and nothing else. So the debt service of paying back those investors who invested in those debt currently is close to $37 million that we pay every year. So when you look at your tax rate, you see that your tax rate relatively is higher, is because of that $37 million that we still have to pay in debt service for the construction of those 12 schools. I know a lot of time I get questions from folks who wrongly believe that $37 million is used for daily, day-to-day operating funds. It's not. It's to pay back debt for those 12 schools. So this is the tentative budget that we have by funds. So if you look at that, the ed fund is actually the largest of our funds. This is where most of our expenses are paid out of. What we have right now, the projection is showing that at the end of the fiscal year, we should have a surplus of just about $1 million. Now, the next fund is operation and maintenance. Excuse me. The projected end of fiscal year, we're looking at a deficit of 1.2 million. But I'm not that concerned about it, and I think we shouldn't be, because we actually have a pretty decent reserve in the operations fund. At the end of the fiscal year, before the audit is finished, we were looking at $10.1 million in operation and maintenance reserve. So we should easily be able to absorb that $1.2 million without any problem. Now, the next fund that is really concerning and should concern everyone is the transportation fund. We ended the fiscal year with the transportation fund at a deficit of close to $5 million at the end of 2025. Now, I also want to add that even before the end of the year, we transferred $8 million into that fund to try to balance it, and we still didn't balance it. We ended up with a hole of $5 million. Now, what you have to know is like your bank account. You can't have a negative bank balance. The money has to come from somewhere else to be transferred into that fund. So we will have to transfer $5 million from somewhere else to plug the end of the year fund balance in transportation of $5 million. And even with that, at the end of this fiscal year that we're in, we're still looking at a 3.3 million in transportation. So transportation, the way it's operating right now, we need to be more efficient in how we run transportation. And we also have to follow the rule and the laws set up by the State Board of Education previous to this year. When we are trying to make some changes, we provide transportation to just about any of our students who request transportation. By law, we only require to provide transportation to 3 classes of students. Students who have IEP, not just IEP, but the IEP has to call for transportation to be provided. The second class of kids are kids who live in designated hazardous route. We just can't arbitrarily designate an area as being hazardous. We have to consult, we have to engage the service of a specialized firm who has expertise in hazardous route study. That has to be done, and the report has to come before the board for approval. Once the board approves it, it has to go to the Illinois Department of Transportation to confirm that the report is actually accurate. Only then would the state start reimbursing us for designated hazardous route. But since we're transporting everyone, we're losing money. And to make it even more complicated, I just mentioned the 3 classes of kids that the state will reimburse us for. We get 69 cents for every dollar that we spend on regular ed transportation. But for special ed transportation, we only get 61 cents for every dollar that we spend on transportation. So right off the bat, we're behind the 8 ball, if you will. We're in a hole. So we have to be really, really careful to make sure we only transport folks who are eligible for transportation. I know it's very difficult for parents to accept that, but if we continue to build holes like we've been doing for transportation, it creates a significant financial challenge to the district. We did a projection last year, and what we saw is that the rate of deficit will continue to build every year till 2030, when that total amount becomes $26 million. Money we can't afford to lose. So we have to do something about transportation quickly and forthwith.
Is the answer to this deficit mostly efficiency, making the system more efficient?
Efficiency is part of it. And we got here too, I guess, thank you for asking that question. What happened is transportation didn't get here overnight. What happened before pandemic and the inflation that came with pandemic, the cost of transportation was relatively lower. We used to buy a 72 passenger yellow school bus. We used to pay about $85,000 for. The same bus today is $165,000.
So cost is more.
Yeah, it's almost double. We used to pay $12 to $13 an hour to our bus driver before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, what happened is the folks who used to drive buses for us, they were retired folks. Our retired folks who have a pension somewhere else, and they just needed something to do. They'll drive for us 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. And most of them were significantly negatively impacted by the pandemic. We know they are comorbidities. So when COVID was around, a lot of them got sick. We lost a chunk of them who decided they would no longer drive buses because it was just too dangerous. So what we have had to do is it's not just us actually, it's every school district all over the country. So there was intense competition for drivers because in the marketplace, anytime you have lower supply and higher demand, the only way that you can reach equilibrium is that prices have to go up. And that is what has been going on. So the wages have been going up. So we're competing not just with our neighboring school district, but just about everywhere else. So we went from paying 12 to 13 to now paying $23 an hour. And even with that, we're still struggling to find qualified bus drivers. That's another factor. So now, in order to make the job attractive to those folks who can pick and choose where they want to work, we're now making those jobs a full-time job. Where it used to be a 4-hour day job, we've had to make it a 6-hour a day to make it attractive to folks. Now, when you do that, then you have to offer benefits based on the Affordable Care Act. When you hire someone to work 6 hours a day, you have to pay for health insurance, dental, vision. So that's another added cost that we didn't have before. Additionally, you also have to offer pension, IMRF. When someone works 6 hours a day, you have to provide pension for them. So if you think about all that cost added to the cost of transportation, that's where we get to where we are.
There's one other layer. We were getting reimbursed 79 and 71. It's going to 69 and 61.
Yes.
And then if you think about the geographic, the radius or, the amount of miles that we drive, that's going to impact our district more relative to others, to many others, especially in suburban. Am I
absolutely
accurate to that? So, so there's a series of things that are all negative.
And some of our neighbors were in a better financial position when this whole thing started, in that they had a higher reserve. I know just about every school district that I'm aware of is bleeding money in transportation. But the difference between us and them is, number one, they don't have as big a radius to transport kids as we do. We transport 12,000 kids every single day, 68 square miles. And then we have a lower fund balance. So we couldn't absorb the excess cost of transportation. So we're in a worse shape than our neighboring school district. So, but we're doing things to try to address that on our part, things that we can do efficiently. One example I'll give, which was presented to the board in April, we used to lease buses. Every 5 years, we'll lease them, we'll give them back. And when we'll give them back, they will have 22,000 miles on it, which you can tell it's still got a lot of life in it. So the last 72 buses that replaced the 72 buses that we gave back, we did a lease to own, which meant that after the 5 years of payment at $12 million, we're going to keep them for another 5 years, and we will save $12 million that we will pay in 5 years. We'll plow that back, and that will help us. And we're optimizing our routing, and we're limiting the amount of third-party providers that we're using. So we're doing all kinds of things that we can do internally to create efficiency. But make no mistake, though, we need to make sure that we only transport kids who are eligible for transportation.
And so that eligibility comes from state guidance.
Yes,
And if we are
state
not
guidelines,
adhering
yes.
to state guidance, then we aren't funded for that, correct?
Absolutely.
And that would be any special program.
Absolutely.
Right? So even when you think about special education, we have to adhere to the state guidance.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. So having an IEP does not automatically qualify a student to ride the bus. The IEP has to specifically say transportation is required for the child's special need in order for them to be eligible for transportation. So the next fund is IMRF and Social Security. IMRF pays for the pension contribution for a non-licensed employee. And as we know, every employee pays FICA. That's what that is. Now, the way the law is written in the school code, you're only supposed to levy what you need. And we have about $3.1 million in reserve in IMRF. So we have the means to be able to absorb that $1 million deficit without it creating any problem. And then working cash, we're looking at a surplus of $617,000. So in aggregate, we're looking at a projected deficit of 3.9. But the only amount that is concerning that we don't have the way to pay for out of reserve is the 3.3 in transportation. But for transportation, we'll be in a good shape, even with this challenging budget year.
What did they say?
So I wanted to wrap up by talking about all the things that, as a district, that we're grappling with financially. One, the number one thing is state funding. We know the state of Illinois tries, but the state doesn't fund us adequately or equitably. As we mentioned earlier, we were anticipating getting higher funding in ABF, which is the second largest source of funding. We are not getting there. The decision was made based on local wealth, but we don't have the ability of tapping into that local wealth without doing a referendum and asking our taxpayers to even give us more of their taxes. We know our taxpayers are contributing abundantly already. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. And the state is underfunding early childhood education. I mentioned special education. The state is not pulling its weight. Reimbursement for regular transportation and special ed, every dollar that we spend, if we lock it, we get 69 cents for regular ed and 61 cents for special education. So right off the bat, we're in a hole. And we know there's a rising cost to everything that we do. Salaries makes up a big chunk of our expenditure. Our employees live in the real world. We know inflation has been rampant the last 3 years, so they expect to be paid more because food costs more, utility costs more in the world where our employees live. And even in the world that we live in too, the cost of heating is going up. The cost of electricity, we received notification last month, at the end of last month, saying the cost of utilities is going up by 22% for the rest of the year. But fortunately, we had a contract already where we locked up the rate that we're going to pay till the end of the fiscal year. So that doesn't impact us, right? But it just illustrates how the price of things are going up. Special education services is growing at a higher pace than our revenue. Our revenue, the biggest source of our revenue this year is from property tax, which is governed by CPI. Now CPI was 2.9. We know we're spending significantly more than that in special education, in utility, in transportation, in salaries and benefit costs. And the state, there's a level of uncertainty with state funding. Even when the state allocates money to us, that doesn't mean we get that money. The comptroller of the state still have to juggle and decide who is she going to pay. Is she going to pay us now? Is she going to wait till 3 months from now? Because revenue is not keeping pace with expenditure. So even though we think we're going to get this money, but we need the cash to be able to meet our obligation on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. The other part I want to point out is the federal funding is not as predictable as it's been the last few years. As you all are aware, on July 1st, the current administration delayed release of $240 million, which at that time we thought was going to be $9 million for us, but has since been reduced to 8.5. And we are hoping that they will come through with even that 8.5. So at the end of the day, the only dependable source of revenue that we have is property taxes. And that only makes up 48%. So let's do the math. 278.5 million in operating fund, 48% of it is predictable. The rest of it is kind of iffy. So we have property tax in the middle, and we have two unreliable partners in the state and the federal government. So those are things that we have to worry about and we have to plan for, because there's no other way that we can do it. So we have to be mindful of how we spend the resources that we get. Discussions?
Thank you, Mr. Obafemi and Amanda Sitar. Thank you so much. Before we have questions, I want to invite Dr. Kincaid, to speak a little bit to the Title I work and thinking about our title work that we did this past spring as we thought about these efficiencies that were coming our way. Dr. Kincaid really worked very closely with the programmatic side of our district. We spent a lot of time thinking about tiering, what were essential things that we needed to invest in, and really ensuring the protection of our programs for our students and our schools. And so, Dr. K, if you would just for a few minutes talk about that, because I think it was very important, the work that the team led and you led in supporting these big reductions that really kept us afloat this year.
As Mr. Obafemi mentioned, currently we have not received Title II allocations. So what we had to do with our Title I funds for this year was complete different set-asides, really focus first on professional learning. The professional development that we had started last year, both really at all levels from EC through transition, we wanted to continue for both our teachers, our staff, and our administrators. So we wanted to prioritize that for the benefit of our students. Other things that we have put kind of aside, as Mr. Obafemi mentioned, we're hoping that additional funding will come through, is some summer programs for next summer. So we wanted to make sure that we were investing in our students for right now to not see significant change in programming. So we first prioritized our direct supports to students through our interventionists and our interventionist assistants. We also saw some decrease in our Title I SIP money, which was in our district because
SIP.
of our school improvement due to our summative designations. Our 4 schools that receive additional funding on top of their Title I funds are focused on children with disabilities. So we wanted to really make sure that we were focused on what would be the strongest benefits to the students in terms of programming and direct services. So through the work with the principals and with their school improvement teams, really tried to relook at some of those plans that we had discussed over the last couple of months, but where did we want to prioritize that funding? And kind of unanimously, it was upfront, immediate, direct services. So we're hoping over time through both Title II and what we consider carryover, so any unspent funds from this year's Title I will then move to summer programming for next year. For our Title IV, prioritized the student supports and then some direct, for example, we use funds to help progress monitor our students in world language for our Apple testing. We wanted to make sure that we provided additional supports to our teachers and social workers through Aaron's Law. So we wanted to make sure that we continued the funding connected to the programs for our students. So we've kind of shifted some things around through the work of our team, and we're anxiously awaiting additional allocations.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Kincaid.
Yes, all my questions.
Yeah.
The $4 million deficit is coming out of reserves? Or
It-
are we hoping that we're gonna get more funding than we know of right now?
Honestly, when it comes to the deficit from transportation, there's no way we are going to get additional money because the way the budget works is that the state ISB, Illinois State Board of Education, makes a recommendation to the governor's office, and then the governor looks at all the expenditure that needs to be funded. And quite frankly, in a yearly budget, as much as 60 to 70% of the funding is already is spoken for. It's mainly tied to Medicare, Medicaid, and entitlements, right, in the state. So the rest of it has to go towards everything else. And then the governor then looks at all that and makes a recommendation to the legislature for appropriation. And then the legislature will look at how much the state is going to get in revenue and make a determination of how much they will approve in appropriation. So the appropriation for fiscal year 26 was approved on the last day of the regular legislative session on May 31st. And that it required only a majority vote. Now, if he had gone beyond that, it would have been a 3/4 majority. So essentially to say that it's highly unlikely that we will see any more money because the legislators have voted and they've approved the budget for fiscal year 26.
I'm talking about the overall budget deficit on page 21. There's still the possibility of getting some federal funds released.
It's
that
probable.
They've been
It's-
appropriated, they just have been held back by the administration.
So whatever had been appropriated that we know of by the federal government, we booked that as revenue.
Okay,
So now there's a possibility if the additional revenue from the feds, and last year they did that, they did additional allocation when additional money was available on the feds. That's a possibility. But for the state, it's highly unlikely because, as a matter of fact, the EBF that the state had promised since EBF came into being in 2018 of $350 million. $300 million was going to go to direct EBF, $50 million was going to go to tax abatement. So except for this year, it's been allocated, the legislators have been allocating $350 million. This year, they only allocated $304 million, not even the $350 million. That shows that the revenue picture for the state is going to be very challenging. So I don't anticipate us getting any additional allocation from the state. But from the federal government, it's possible.
so for this year, we're gonna be covered by pulling money out of the reserves to cover the deficit, but that can't continue.
No, we
long-term.
cannot, especially for transportation.
Yeah.
We cannot. I mean, the part that I didn't even mention, we've actually changed our levy strategy to accommodate the sinking fund in transportation. When we did our levy, the 2024 levy in last winter in December, we levy less in ed fund, which is the largest source of expenditure, source of revenue, and the one that bears the most expenditure. And though that $5 million, we levy it in transportation. And even with that, we still ended up with a $5 million deficit. It's not something that could continue.
Right, okay.
So, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I think you
Thank
did an amazing job. I am a visual learner, so I really needed that, and I was able to follow along pretty well. My question is just relative to EBF funding. So we didn't necessarily lose money, but we didn't get what we had initially anticipated. How many, what are the different tiering systems? Is tier 1 and tier 2? Is there another?
No, so tier one, the way EBF worked is when it was approved back in 2017, it was determined that in order for a student, regardless of where they live in the state of Illinois, to get an adequate education, they need X amount of money, right? And then it was determined based on local wealth and a few other variables, local wealth being a big part of it, how much a district would need to get to adequacy. So that baseline was referred to as adequacy. So the further you are from adequacy, that's what determines how much money you get and where you tier. So the lower your adequacy, the more likely you will be in tier 1. So the higher your adequacy, then the higher your tiers. So in the past, since EBF went into being, if you will. In 2018, we've been in tier 1 because we've been far from adequacy. But this year, because of the increase in property value here, we moved from tier 1 to tier 2. So there's tier 1 gets 50% of all the funds. The first 50% of the funds go to tier 1. Then tier 2 and gets the other 49% is divided between them. And then tier 3 gets some of that too. Tier 4 gets nothing. So the way it works is when the law was passed, in order to be able to get all the legislators to rally around and support the legislation, a decision was made to create a baseline for whatever money school district throughout the state got back in 2017, they will never get less than that. So that was the baseline. It was called hold harmless. But then, depending on where they tier, they will get, the majority of the money will be tier 1. The second level will be tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 doesn't get anything else. But they would not lose anything from the baseline in 2017. So to answer your question, we actually, no district is going to lose money. They will never lose what they got the prior year. That was hold harmless. But what we had been receiving is a higher amount because we're in tier 1. We got the majority of the appropriation every year. But by us moving into tier 2, we didn't do that. So there was a difference in revenue of $6.3 million that we should have gotten if we had stayed in tier 1. And that's a significant amount of money.
So if we were
Thank
still,
you.
if we were at 73% instead of 78%, we probably would have gotten another 6.3 million.
Yes.
So it's literally just, we're teetering the line, and it's not due to the revenue side, it's due to the value side of the property. So it's,
Local wealth, as it is.
Get it?
I mean, it's better
Thank
than better than pre-2018, so.
Oh, absolutely. When everybody
But
got the
still,
same GSA, as you know, yeah. Based on your enrollment, that's, you get
Yeah.
the same.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No,
thank you.
I know that's like at least the 5th time you've given that presentation in a week, so thank you for your time
Yeah, it's at
and
least the 5th time.
transparency.
That's
We
my
really
3rd.
appreciate it.
So, learned a lot. Do we have? Okay. Item 6.1, public comment. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to thank the public for attending tonight's meeting. We value the feedback we receive from our members of the public and encourage everyone to take an active interest in their public school system. Individuals interested in speaking to the board this evening are asked to have completed a comment card and presented it to the secretary to the board. When the secretary calls your name, I ask that you come to the microphone, state your name for the public record, and provide your feedback. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. The board does not participate in discussion during public comment. Comments should address the Board of Education as a whole and not be directed to an individual board member, audience, or staff member. Follow-up to your questions or concerns may be addressed by administration through the contact information provided on the comment card. Thank you. Britt?
Michelle Traeger.
I thank you for kids in the district. I really appreciate that presentation. Thank you. And I really appreciate the creativity of moving things around as needed. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about not that 10,000 foot view, but like the really sort of specific here on the ground things. And I'm just gonna trust that you know me well enough by now. I'm gonna speak really bluntly because I believe it's important for the board to hear some of the conversations that go on. So one special ed teacher told me how demoralizing it is when she looks online and sees that the amount of a raise alone received by a single administrator is greater than the amount of this teacher's yearly salary. I've been told about situations at DAC in recent years where if we don't spend the full amount that was allocated in the budget for specific departments, that amount will be taken out of their budget for the next year. So money has been spent on things that we never actually use. Yeah, just sharing some of the information that is out there.
Meanwhile, we have elementary schools worrying about running out of paper by the end of the year. We have Next Gen to help staff in our district get their necessary teaching credentials. But to my knowledge, we still have no similar mechanism that applies to related services, like social work, despite there being interested staff. And we need social workers to fill positions in this district. So I recognize that there are separate funding streams, and you're probably not supposed to cross the streams. But I also recognize common sense. Please immediately put a plan in motion to help qualified staff get their necessary credentials and certificates for related services in the same way we do with teachers through Next Gen. For dual language, please immediately begin considering qualified DL teachers with the necessary credentials for administrative positions within that program. In short, stop hiring people from outside. Last year, we had an assistant director for multilingual learners, and the feedback was that this person was helpful and brought useful resources to the program, but she left after 1 year. And that is not an uncommon story. It's my understanding that the position was not filled and that the position itself was eliminated. This is for an EL program that serves, I think, close to 14% of our students, and that will only continue to grow. We have talented staff in the program with the necessary credentials, who have their own children in the district, who will stay. We need people who have skin in the game. Please keep in mind HB 3026. Not sure if that's across the governor's desk, mandating statewide dual language guidance, educator support, biliteracy pathways, and bilingual promotion. I also want to offer this back. 5th graders become 6th graders. And in dual language, 5th graders become 6th graders. Yet it's been at least a decade and a half of this program at play, and we have yet to attain stability or the improvements that families have asked for. It's as if we're caught off guard that 5th graders become 6th graders in dual language. I have a 4th grader in DL, and I don't know if I'll have her continue that based on what my older two went through. She still has 2 years, but why should I think the improvements will come when we've had a decade? We've also talked about the intersection of dual language and special ed, and I think we have at least 15% with IEPs, and that probably doesn't count 504s or other interventions. I don't think there is an intersection of dual language and special ed. Many families over the years have pulled their students from DL because they don't receive the special ed or other interventions that they need. This is an urgent, very urgent issue for our district. And lastly, I want to say that we had a dual language improvement committee made up of parents, teachers, and district admin that existed in the 23-24 school year. And that was due to over 100 dual language families signing on to a letter that described necessary improvements. It felt like we were starting to work on these things, but last year with new admin, the committee never reconvened. Why? Please communicate with the parents and the families of this program, some of whom are very interested in being a part of seeing those improvements. Thank you.
Thank you. Vinay Goyal.
Hey, hi, good evening, everyone. And thanks for giving me the opportunity for speaking on behalf of my community, the Lincoln Crossing. And from the last 2 months, we are continuously reaching out, most of them, and all of you, all the board members regarding the transportation for, reinitiate the transportation, right? And first of all, I just want to say thanks to all of you for listening our concerns and what are the safety measure and help or support you are providing to fix those problems. But still, there are some of the issues are not fixed, and we have a lots of concern for those. Even in terms of community, if we check, it's a one community, but we are representing of approximately 100 students. It's a 25% of the school strength, right? And now, from this community, we were getting from the last 2 years, we were getting the transportation, but this year we get the information that, okay, transportation will not be available for the students, right? And the reason was they have given, because we have a bridge for now, so that's the safe path or safe route, so transportation will not be available. So initially, when we moved here and we discussed with the school and school board of some of, members, right? So they said even if bridge will be there, but community will continuously get the school bus because we have a highway in between. And as per the state law, the student cannot cross the highway, right? So that's the reason. Most of the residents choose the community near to the school itself because they got the assurance about the school that we will get the bus. So that's the 2 years before, but now things are changed time to time, and now we everybody know we have a bridge also there. So and now school are looking for the student to take the bridge for the school. So our problem is our concern, not the problem. Our concern is, out of 100, we have approximately 20 or 25 team members who will go the first time to the school, and it's very difficult for them to walk the 1 mile. And some of them living in the, the first corner of the society, and we have a bridge in the last corner of the society, right? And between the bridge and the community and the school path, there are so many concerns which we have raised, and everybody is taking, talking about to take the safe route or save the, the bridge route. But no one is talking about, do we have any chances for reinstate the bus services in case school are not able to fix the safety concern, which we have discussed and which we are writing on in the emails a couple of times. From the last complete approximately 2 months, we are continuously reaching out to everyone to passing our concern, what are the safety concern we have. I just want to highlight some of them. Maybe some of them you are already aware. Like, for the bridge, right? Initially, when we reach out to schools clearly said, this bridge was, they have no concern. It was the, you have to reach out to transportation department, right? They have the decision, they took the decision to, remove the bus services. So we reach out to transport department and they said, okay, we got the city approval. That's the only reason we are going for the bus bridge route. So we reach out to city department. Okay, what was the reason for providing the approval, and why, and do we fulfill all the safety measurement and everything? So they clearly said, they did not provide any approval, and there is no participant of the city within the approval process of the bridge. It has been built by the Polytech engineers, and the district has took, school district has took the decision for removing the bus services. So then we reach out to again the district, and they provide, there was some engineering, I think Ericsson engineering. The based on their report, they remove the bus services because we have safe pathway. So we follow the report, and within the report is clearly said we have a safe pathway, but we have a path there only to from community to school. But how much is the safe? They did not describe those things. So if we check the path, within the path we have a gap in within the bridge. We have a, the railing of the bridge is not the 5 feet. We don't have the railing also near the bridge, and on the one side we have a corn continuously from bridge to school. That is a very dangerous for the kid, and even is a agricultural land, right? And the most probably is a, we are, it can be the, in the future, it can be the accidental for the wild animals as well. And we have within the community also in the daytime, we have seen lots of, coyote in daytime as well. And it's very difficult for the smaller kid or younger kid to pass out those, those route. And the major concern is the bus route, right? The bus entrance route and the when the our bridge route is ending, right? They both are on the same path, and kids has to cross the bus route to going to the school. That's the very very dangerous. In case we have reached out to school and they said they will put it the yield sign there, but still is a safety concern for us. So, now our major concern is, as we have already gone through the presentation also, and every district and every having the budget consent also. So we are just looking at what are our options here, right? Now we have only 2 days to school going to start, and still we did not get any confirmation we will get the bus or not, or still we are working on the fixing the safety issues or major concern issues, right? And now we have a winter also in next 2 months, and the sunlight will be very limited, right? So after within a 3 or 4 o'clock, we can see the darkness. And so how the kids will be moved. We don't have light also there, and there is no, as such, no one has about tell someone who will taken care of the, bridge maintenance in case of snow, in case of raining and all those. Most of the time when we walk there, most of the time bridge are closed, and they have a board, okay, it's not for safe walking and all those things. So, I mean, after all those safety concern, I mean, I'm not sure, I mean, what was the decision, I mean, district had taken to use the bridge for the, I mean, kids, right? And our request is, I mean, until these safety concerns will not be complete or fixed, at least we, I mean, school district provide the bus service to the community. So, and once it will be fixed, then we can revisit again. I mean, the safety concern is everything has been taken care. Then, I mean, kids can okay to go.
1 minute, please. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm done.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
No, actually,
Yeah, let it
we are,
go.
we
I'll
are
let you talk
working
for
on this
longer.
from
Yeah.
we are struggling to, I mean, raise our voice from the last 2 months, and we are
Mm-hmm.
sending so many emails. We spam, I mean, your inbox also for a couple of emails, but we did not get any, I mean, the sole answer kind of thing. I mean, what exactly will be the next step for our community kids perspective or safety perspective. I mean, if it's a fund issue, then we are ready to go with a paid service or paid bus also. I mean, we are grateful if, I mean, district can consider those points as well. So we are just looking to solve this problem ASAP so that, I mean, kids will not be impact or their study will not be impact. And even some couple of things also, I mean, this building, this community was, sorry.
Yeah. I've let you go over time quite a bit. So yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I have so many points. So I'm representing, I mean, the 100, I mean, the residents, right? So at least I'm looking if you can give me 5 more minutes.
No.
Oh,
Okay, anyway.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other?
No.
Moving to item 7.1, superintendent's report.
Okay, board. Good evening. Today is really a marked milestone as we welcome back our educators and staff. The school year has officially begun. I want to thank our school leaders, all of our custodians, our teams who've been working profoundly across this summer to really prepare for the receipt of our students, receipt of our staff members, and I know that school improvement teams were very excited about really setting the foundation for the year to come. Across our schools, classrooms were filled with collaboration, professional learning, and thoughtful preparation to welcome our students back. Our kindergarten through 12th grade students will return this Thursday, and our early childhood program will begin on Monday, the 18th. We look forward to this energy and enthusiasm that they will bring. I, as a principal for many years, felt like the most boring months were those summer months, and nothing brought us more joy as principals when staff and students returned to the building. So welcome back, everyone. I also want to thank our community members and our staff leadership who participated in last week's community budget meetings. Your participation and feedback, whether it was online or in person, are invaluable as we work together to make the best decisions for our students. If you weren't able to attend any of these sessions, you do have access to this meeting, the virtual session especially. It's now available on the finance page on our district website. I encourage everyone to take a look and stay engaged around the financial priorities and planning that is taking shape in the months and year to come. As we begin to take those next steps into the first few days of the new year to come, in our district, we have some core values that really are the foundation of our work, and I want to invite everyone to really think about what it means to humanize the problems that we face in our district. When facing challenges, we're going to face challenges. That's a reality of just our human existence. And I want to invite us all to think about how we approach those. And this may be a time for a little extra grace for those team members who've been working really tirelessly to prepare for the school year. We are all setting new schedules to place classes and peers. It can take a bit of time, especially even for our students who maybe had a little bit too much screen time. I think of my own children. YouTube is no substitute. I know that my son may need a little grace as well as they enter our classrooms. Our transportation teams this week have been also practicing and refining our bus routes and thinking about the ways in which we're going to stay on schedule with all the construction happening around us. And I want to also thank our district level team and school-based teams for working with our transportation team to refine our communication and to ensure that we are thinking ahead around any challenges we may have in terms of timing. And so reality is that the first couple of days, because somebody may have moved here or there, can be difficult. And we want to thank you in advance for your patience. We also know that teams have been working hard and diligently to get prepared for the school year. We appreciate everyone's patience, and we are excited for the year to come as we begin our next step. And I will turn it over now to, we have some board initial kind of highlights from across the district that board members will reflect on, and then there will be also time for board comment tonight.
Shout out to all of our teachers who returned to their buildings today for a few days of learning and preparation. Thank you also to our staff who have continued working throughout the summer to get our buildings, classrooms, and materials ready for students. We know everyone is excited as we gear up for the first day of school on Thursday.
Yes.
I thought it was Wednesday, so I'm just double checking my.
Oh, yeah.
All right, health requirements for the 2025-26 school year are due September 15th. Please turn in all requested medical forms to your student's school and visit the health services page on the district website for more information.
As a reminder to our junior high students and families, this year, students will utilize lockers to store their materials rather than carrying backpacks to class. This will allow greater space in classrooms and encourage students to use lockers responsibly. Small personal bags and pouches are permitted. Questions should be directed to your school office. Thanks for your help with this change.
We are excited to be joining many of our schools in the celebration of some big milestones this year. Several buildings will be recognizing their 20th or 25th anniversary since first opening their doors. Please be on the lookout for ways that you can help us celebrate throughout the school year.
And Oswego is celebrating its 250th anniversary this year. Isn't that correct?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, America.
In our community. Okay.
No.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
never
We'll come back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1833.
I don't think
Yeah.
Oswego is as old as America. Maybe it's 150.
Maybe.
Maybe it's 150. Okay.
1833, whatever it was when it was incorporated. So whatever.
All
it
right,
works out to.
So 192 is what he meant to say.
A memorable number. Both Oswego and Oswego East High Schools are participating in T-Mobile's Friday night 5G Light Sweepstakes. The nationwide initiative celebrates the power of school spirit and community support surrounding high school football. Participating schools are in the running to receive a number of awards, including the potential for a football stadium upgrade. Congratulations to OEHS for winning one of the $5,000 Friday grants from T-Mobile's Friday night 5G Lights Sweepstakes. Be sure to check out our high school social media pages to learn more about how you can help both schools in these sweepstakes.
If ever there was a time.
Oh, yeah, right.
The IHSA fall sports season officially began today. We are eager to see all that's in store for our athletes this year. We hope for lots of great state finishes to celebrate at upcoming board meetings.
This Wednesday, our district will be hosting our Back to School Bash, welcoming our staff and their families with area businesses and organizations. This third annual event is an opportunity for area businesses, organizations, and benefits providers to provide valuable information to our staff and their families. We look forward to hosting the board's lemonade stand at the event.
Thank you, board. And that concludes the superintendent comments.
Item 7.2, board member comments. Anybody have any?
I do, but I'll defer.
I just wanted to share one conversation I had in the last week with a school nurse who was excited because her, as well as other nurses, were, happy with their with their contract, feeling the impact of that in their personal lives, and also noting that we have significantly decreased the amount of contracted services in nursing, and they're really feeling that as well. So kudos to everyone that had a hand in making that happen.
That's awesome.
Making that a
That's
priority,
awesome.
yeah.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
Mary Jo?
I have a couple shout outs.
Yeah.
First of all, on behalf of Community Cares, I want to thank everyone that volunteered and participated in the Start Strong program on the 2nd of August. Start Strong is a way to give students, to make sure that students have sufficient supplies. And actually this year there was kind of a new thing. Not only did we give out supplies to in the neighborhood of about 300 students, we also offered free haircuts and vaccinations, which was new. So it was quite a program. I also need to give a shout out to Boulder Hill, and because Principal Meismer brought this to my attention, and it was true. We had a lot of volunteers participating, and he did point out to me that probably half of the volunteers there were staff at Boulder Hill. So a special shout out to them, and actually everybody else that participated. Last Friday was the OH Marching Band Family Picnic, which a number of us went to, and it was great. And to the marching band parents of Oswego East, because we didn't go, please invite us to these things. We did get an invite from OH, did not know about OE, so please make sure you send us invitations. We go to this stuff, so just so you know that in the future. And then finally, yesterday I had the privilege of being at the Distinguished Young Women of Illinois program at Sandburg, and we had one Oswego East student, Carly Gregory, who had made it down to the 22 finalists, which was the program that took place yesterday. Carly, I mean, I could go through all of her accolades, but suffice it to say that that group of 22 from all across the state was a pretty competitive group, and I was very impressed with all of those young ladies and their talents and their accomplishments, and I know that all of them will do well in the future, but special congratulations to Carly for making it into that group. And that's it from me.
Oh.
All right. Sure. It was a very long week. It was last Sunday. Last Sunday, Mr. Cerrone and Dr. Calgatti and Dr. Kincaid and I had the opportunity to attend the DuPage County NAACP 67th Annual Freedom and Scholarship Gala. So that was, it was a great experience. We got to interact with a lot of community members, hear really inspirational speeches, and we got to see a lot of our students.
Lots of students.
Yeah, a ton of our students. I think
It
as
was
soon as we
awesome.
walked in the door, the first thing that happened was one of our students greeted us. So it was
sixth
great
grader.
to see, yeah, great to see a lot of our students engaging in their community, and it was fun to see them in a different environment as well. So that was great. And then also there have been a lot of kind of streamlined video communications coming out from the district on Facebook. It seems like there's been a bit of an uptick in viewership. I think a lot of the videos are getting up to like 2,000 views. So I just wanted to encourage everybody to follow the district and the schools on social media, and to thank the communications team for getting those communications out.
Erica Ravel? No? Oh,
Uh,
Erica, yeah.
I didn't get to talk about this at the last meeting,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but I
My fault. Yeah.
I was able to attend the Limelight Theater's production of Wizard of Oz, and it was pretty amazing to see all the talented. I assume they're all students up on the stage. I know a couple are from the district, and everyone did a really great job.
They always do. Moving on to item 8.1, consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I make a motion to approve all items under consent, including 8.1, minutes from the Board of Education meeting on July 28th, 2025, open and closed sessions. 8.2, to acknowledge the FOIA requests received by the district. 8.3, to approve and accept a $5,000 donation through the T-Mobile, the aforementioned, the T-Mobile Friday night 5G lights program.
Second.
Anybody, any questions on the consent agenda? No? Okay.
Ms. C. Aye. Dr. Martin.
Aye.
Dr. Polak.
Aye.
Mr. Saron.
Aye.
Ms. Wenmouth.
Aye.
Dr. Murillo.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item 9, operations update. Is that-
Mr. Obafemi?
Yeah.
Mr. Quinn is under the weather today, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
pinch hitting for
All
him.
right.
So-
Well, I hope it gets better.
We just wanted to give you a quick update of the capital projects that we're able to complete this summer, and just to give you a visual and also a quick update. So these are the some of the things that we did. We did some concrete work at Brokaw, Grand Park, Oswego High School, as well as East. And then we did a rooftop unit replacement at Brokaw too. And new playground was put in at Boulder Hill, Olmsted, Lakewood Creek. And we did some much needed painting at Boulder Hill, Lakewood Creek, Long Beach, and Southbury. I just wanted to show you the pictures. Now, this is the parking lot at Brokaw. And as you can see, the contractor did a very good job, and they were able to finish on time as they promised. And it looks much better than what it looked like before.
Well, and it's enough parking now.
Yeah, more important.
Yeah, you don't have 3-year-olds crossing the street in between cars.
Right. And now this is the concrete work at Grand Park. I want to point out on the left, when the excavation took place before the concrete work can begin, we found a river under there. So that's what you saw.
What?
Under the parking?
Yeah.
I don't even know what this.
So
I
it's
don't
on the
even
left.
understand.
That's the same. So the contractor had to install piping to actually divert water away from that from that space.
Water all over this district.
Which is why we were wondering previously, there was always standing water by that parking space. And then when they started digging, we found out what it was. So that was completed. It was literally a river under the, as you can see in the picture to you. And this is the concrete work that was done at OH. Here, look at the before and after, significant difference. And the one that is just still the same place, just a walk-in at the same building, just a walk-in part, is so much better than it used to. And it's more flush to, there was no longer a gap between the path, the way it looked before and the way it looks now. And these are the playgrounds that we are really, really excited about to have gotten done. And we've gotten some feedback from folks about the fact that they thought it was smaller, but it's actually no smaller. What it was is the newer way of building playground. And these playgrounds are now more accessible to for kids who need some support to be able to get around. So it's different, but it's actually the same size. It's just designed differently. And this is the painting project that was done in Boulder Hill. You can see the before and after, and it looks much better. There's no chipping at the bottom anymore. And it just looks much nicer. So we can't wait for our colleagues in Boulder Hill to come in and see it. Same thing with Lakewood Creek here. You can see the before on the left there and what it looks like now, cleaner and fresher. And yeah, we're ready for our colleagues to see it, and as well as our students. Long Beach, same thing. It's just cleaner. It's one color. It doesn't look as closed in as it looked before, and it's just a little wider than it did before. Southbury, same thing. We, the wall was painted, and it looks much nicer. So this is some of the projects that were completed this summer. We just want to share that for you all to see what you approve and what the result has been. We're very proud of the work that we've done. Thank you for your support.
So what did the piping, I mean, so we put the piping in at Grand Park because of Lake Plainfield. Where does it drain? Does it just drain off to the street?
Yes, it drains off. Yeah, it's draining much better
Okay.
now. And there was a belief among our contractor that it was probably an underground irrigation system from the farm that used to be there
Oh, wow.
before. That was their theory. But,
Interesting.
but we were shocked. But we also noticed that it was always puddle. Every time it rained, the water would just be there. But once we dug, it was shocking, the amount of water there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to action item 10.1. Action item approval of bills for payment. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to authorize the payment of bills in the amount of $6,082,641.12 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Dr. Mario,
Aye.
Miss Wenmouth,
Aye.
Dr. Martin,
Aye.
Miss C,
Aye.
Dr. Polak,
Aye.
Mr. Saron.
Aye, motion passes 6-0. Action item 10.2, resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed 88, I'm assuming million dollar general obligation refunding school bonds for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, authorizing the proposed sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof, and authorizing the execution of certain escrow agreements in connection therewith. Can I have a motion, please?
What you said. I make a motion to adopt the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $88 million general obligation refunding school bonds for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, authorizing the proposed sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof, and authorizing the execution of certain escrow agreements in connection therewith as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Nope.
Who says therewith? That's my only question.
Well, this is, let's hope that it comes to fruition. We save the full $4.5 million in present value, if not more. But I think I'm good. We can go to the vote.
Dr. Martin,
Aye.
Miss Wenmouth,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Dr. Polak,
Aye.
Miss C,
Aye.
Dr. Mario.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0
Therewith.
therewith. Moving on to action item 10.3, approval of water billing repayment agreement. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the water billing repayment intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Oswego as discussed and presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Dr. Polak,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Miss Wenmouth,
Aye.
Dr. Mario,
Aye.
Miss C,
Aye.
Dr. Martin.
Aye.
A motion passes 6-0. Item 11.1, can I have a motion to adjourn?
No.
Oh, 10.4. Action item, I'm
You
I'm
always
skipping.
want to skip
Thank you,
something.
thank you. Oh, thank you. Seriously, don't let me.
There
Okay.
would be a lot of,
need staff.
Yes,
yeah, that would,
we'd all be here in
we'd
the
notice
morning.
this.
We'd all be here in the morning, yes, or in 2 days or whatever it is. Okay, 10.4, approval of personnel report. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the personnel report as discussed and presented.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Okay.
Dr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Dr. Polak,
Aye.
Miss C,
Aye.
Miss Wenmouth,
Aye.
Dr. Mario.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, item 11.1. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.